All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Erica, and I'll be going over how we can streamline the volunteer onboarding process. As a solution engineer at Smartsheet, I work specifically with state and local government customers to really understand their pain points and use cases and come up with solutions together. So this one is based off of previous customers, and we'll be going through that today. I do want everyone to please keep in mind that we will be focusing on a specific use case of dynamic view for this session, but we will also call out additional examples of how it can be utilized across different organizations or in different scenarios. Again, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A button. So in this session, we'll be focusing on volunteer onboarding. We will address how we can utilize dynamic view to onboard volunteers and showcase how each person, a volunteer and also a volunteer coordinator, can interact with the onboarding process while maintaining confidentiality of the underlying information entered and in the sheets. So just a quick overview of dynamic view. It is a tool that allows you to manage multi-step processes by sharing only what is needed to the right people at the right time for viewing or editing. For this use case, we will be protecting sensitive information such as volunteer applicant information with identity-based access, giving the volunteer access only to their application information. From there, we can simplify that information by enabling the volunteer to sign up for open shifts without the ability to change the shift information. And then finally, utilize a multi-step interaction so that volunteer can see their application status and once approved, has access to sign up for those open shifts. Let's jump into the demo. So starting off, I am a volunteer applying for a healthcare support role. I can come directly to my volunteer application portal and start to fill out my volunteer application form. The Smartsheet forms can be embedded into dashboards or web page, such as an intranet for easy access. And we can also require information that's being embedded into the application with the red asterisk. So without that information, I would not be able to actually submit this form. From there, I can select my specified criteria to finish out this application. And with this, I wanted to include some of my certifications, maybe a background check document if that's required. And I'm able to directly upload those with my application with the file upload button. From here, I just add my BLS provider card and submit that. Once it's submitted, the attachment will also follow that application through the process. So it's easy for me to fill out. I understand what information is required and necessary to complete that application. So there's no confusion or additional requests for information. Once that has gone through, I can reload the right-hand side frame here, and it shows up within my view. So this, again, is showing me only my application. If I were to apply to multiple of those applications would show up. And again, all of the volunteers can apply through this one portal, and we will all be seeing different information. We will only be seeing our own applications as it is reading the logged in user's email address. From there, additional columns have shown up. That is for the volunteer coordinator to use, but I'm unable to edit any of that information, such as the approval, or edit any of the information entered. I am, however, able to add additional attachments. So let's say I wanted to attach my background check document. I could attach that here without the need to email it to somebody and have them bring it over into the application. And although we are using this portal as an application page for volunteers, many organizations do use this process for things like project submissions as well, utilizing that form for a project submission and then having a status on the right-hand side to be able to see all of the projects submitted based on that specific user or that specific department. So once we've submitted that application, we're going to switch roles here and take the role of a volunteer coordinator to approve this application. So jumping into the volunteer coordinator view, I am able to see all of the information related to the applicants. With this view, I have a few metrics here to help me gauge and understand how many volunteers we might need by specific role type, and also some metrics on how many volunteers we currently have, how many we denied, and how many are open and in the queue. So with this, we have that new volunteer application that I had applied earlier. I can see all of the information related to this specific volunteer, and they are a healthcare support type. It's easier for me to identify that we are in need of healthcare support volunteers, so I want to review this application. With this, I am able to click in and see that additional information that the volunteer had entered in before. And I'm unable to actually edit any of their information, as we would not want to change important information related to that specific person. I am, however, able to verify their license. I check their attachment, and I'm able to see that that attachment is there. I can download it, review it, make sure everything is all good and ready to go. Verify the license, verify they've passed their background check, and approve this application. Once I do that, I can save those changes. And because these changes are being made directly on the sheet level, we can then leverage things such as automations to automatically notify that applicant that they have been approved and give them access to a shift scheduling portal as well. So once that has been approved, the notification to the volunteer can come through in the left rail here as a notification, the volunteer application approved, or many people tend to use Gmail or email instead. We can jump directly into an email. It will automatically notify via email, and they can jump into that portal directly here as well. So now back to that volunteer role. My volunteer application has been approved. I got that notification in Smartsheet and also within my email. I clicked directly into my volunteer portal, and now I'm able to sign up for open shifts. So with this, I can easily access all open shifts related to the volunteer assignment needs. And if you are a more visual person like myself, we can convert that into a shift calendar as well. So it's easy for me to come in and see different information of all the shifts that are open to me. And as these shifts are being assigned out, they would drop off this calendar so that you're not having duplicate entries into a singular shift, as well as not showing any information regarding who is assigned to that shift. For maybe privacy reasons, we don't want to disclose who exactly is going to be on that shift at any given time. So for this case, I am a healthcare volunteer and I want a day shift spot out of Salt Lake City. I can easily see that there is a day shift available for the healthcare role. Again, all of these different fields can be customized for the calendar as well. Scrolling back up, I want to then actually sign up for that specific role. We have all of the open shifts on the left-hand side, and I can easily apply a filter since I am based out of Salt Lake City. Apply the Salt Lake City filter and look for a day shift that we were seeing earlier on the 18th. Once I click into it, I have my helper text tell me to enter in my information, just my name and email, but I'm unable to edit any of that shift information as we don't want people changing that shift time or the date or the role type. From there, I can just enter my name and my email into the field values. Again, we can also require fields within the dynamic view as well, not only in our forms, but dynamic view. So the volunteer information is required to actually sign up for the shift as well. Once I save, that is then again directly updating in the sheet. What that's doing is that it's now dropping off the shift sign up, because it is now a taken spot. So it is gone from our shift sign up, so no one else can sign up for it. And then it will also fall off that calendar as well. So it'll no longer be seen in that view. Once I do that, I can reload my frame again on the right, and my shift assignment shows up in my right-hand side. With this, I'm able to check in on my volunteer assignments without having to comb through my emails for all of my shift assignments, or have anybody, ask. I don't have to ask and reach out for that assignment. I can just access this portal and see what I'm assigned to. Similarly, with the application portal, it's just one user entering into each portal. Everyone goes to the same portal, and it will only show the shifts that I specifically am signed up for based on my logged in credentials. And again, we have kind of been going through different users based on the dashboard that we're in. A lot of the times, this can also be utilized as an individual contributor dashboard in larger organizations to roll up information such as project task information, where maybe you don't want multiple people in different task sheets. You just want them to complete their specific task. We can aggregate that together and load it up into that dynamic view into one singular dashboard for the entire organization to access. This can also be done because dynamic view can be overlaid on top of sheets and reports. Going through, with dynamic view, we were able to apply to a volunteer position, review applications, approve volunteers, and sign up for open shifts without ever needing to go into a sheet or share any sheets with external people. All of the information entered is directly updating one volunteer log sheet and one shift tracking sheet, with the ability for many different users to access and update only the information they need, simplifying the process for every user without the risk of underlying data being exposed, as well as giving us the ability to leverage the sheet automations to send things like the notifications to the approvers, as well as update request. All of that is still able to be used in conjunction with Dynamic View, enabling us to operate more efficiently. And although we highlighted a specific scenario for this case, additional use cases include, but are not limited to, the examples shown here, such as vendor management and producing notifications. And we can jump to any questions.
Yep, Erica, this is Chaz. There's a question that I'll answer, but two of them were specific to the content that you demonstrated. The first question was, is it possible to be sent a copy of the form that you showed early on in your portion of the demo? Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I believe that we have a really similar set in the Solution Center that folks can work from. Is that right?
Yeah, we should have the volunteer template, and it should be linked into the registration dashboard that you had access to when you registered. We can also resend that out as well. And we have templates, and volunteer onboarding is one of the templates on there.
Wonderful. Thanks for confirming.
Mm-hmm.
Another question about the way that you ran shift scheduling. There was a question, in this example, is it possible to have multiple volunteers on a single shift? Would it be possible for them to cancel or request a cancellation? And I recall we talked about some of the design considerations. Do you want to shed a little bit light on that?
Definitely. We could always incorporate a request to cancel box that they could click within that dynamic view, as we were saying, give them access to that within their shift request, as well as requiring an approval for the shift as well. So they could always click that they're requesting that shift, and once it's approved, they could receive confirmation that that shift was truly assigned to them as well. And in regards to shift scheduling, if we are looking at multiple people per shift, I would recommend creating multiple rows for that specific shift and having each of them sign up individually, just so we can see that within the dynamic view instead. That would be my recommendation.
And Erica, I had a good question too that we get commonly that I'll answer as well. So the question was, is there a common best practice for sharing a dynamic view to thousands of users without a common domain name? So yes, we do that at Smartsheet by sharing to Smartsheet groups. You could have one large group or several subgroups. And in the settings over in sharing, down just a few boxes there, we can share to groups as well as individuals. We would recommend that for non-common domain names.
And I'm going to chime in with a few more answers before we move on. Thanks, Tim and Erica. First question there, Erica shared quite a bit about user interactions. So someone named James asked a question, would the applicant need a Smartsheet account or can you just send them the form via email? Really good question, and you've got a lot of options. So Smartsheet does have ways to collaborate with folks who do not have a Smartsheet account whatsoever. And those web forms where folks are filling in information, those are URLs that can be shared quite broadly. There are settings for how you want folks to access that form, whether or not you want them to log in. When we're talking about viewing a dashboard or viewing a dynamic view where Smartsheet actually has to know who that person is in order to present them the most accurate information, that's an example where they would require a Smartsheet account. However, that almost always does not require something like a paid license. That is generally a free collaborator. I have some personal experience here I want to share. I recently collaborated with my county on HUD's required point in time count, and I want to offer a comparison. I was a volunteer, and we ran into some hassle because of how difficult it was in their Microsoft-based solution to get new users in. Very capable system, very locked down. Smartsheet was actually used as a part of their volunteer sign-up process, so I did a version of what Erica showed you here. And while they did have to make me an account for small portions of that, it was very easy and it allowed them a bit more flexibility within the line of business rather than back in central IT, where of course those folks have other things and other levels of governance that they're a little bit more worried about. So again, I'd encourage folks to work with their account team, specifically your customer success manager if you already have some of these capabilities, but if you're exploring them for the first time, back to someone like John. That's going to make sure that we're mapping exactly what your folks need to do to exactly how they do it in our platform. A couple more questions have come in as we've been answering them. So one of the ones I want to, and perhaps Tim, Erica, in case I missed something, you can help me chime in live here. When creating views where users can access and modify a complex sheet and seeking to only show what's needed, what are the pros and cons between using a dynamic view versus building reports for that purpose? And what I'll start with is the fact that when you are using a report in core Smartsheet, you are also sharing that underlying information. And if folks are well acquainted with Smartsheet, they know how to navigate and drill in and so forth. So reports are really designed a little differently than other systems. They're not just a visibility layer, they're a way of actually editing the underlying information. Dynamic view circumvents that. It adds a completely different way of sharing, which Erica briefly showed and we spoke about, sharing at the domain level, sharing to specific users, specifically not sharing the underlying data and information. So there are some differences with a report. Again, that might come to life in a more specific demonstration, or again, mapping the correct capability to your specific use case. Related to that, there was a question about, is Dynamic View a separate feature from the dashboard for business license users and those widgets? We got a few questions on that topic, so I want to answer two parts. First, the widget. If you'd like to put a Smartsheet calendar or a dynamic view into a dashboard, your answer to that is called the web content widget. It is built into every dashboard and allow you to embed those URLs, and then in a Smartsheet, they'll come to life the way you saw Erica using today. And then importantly, whether you have access to it, Dynamic View is not typically part of the business plan. It is generally, I think a few times this has come up, either something that is in addition or as part of your advanced package. So that will be more specific to the account, the way that you are working with Smartsheet. So do find out whether you have access to that. We can certainly help, but it's about having the views, having those advanced capabilities, putting them into a dashboard, and then providing those to those end users. That's what Erica really brought to life for us. Tim, Erica, any other questions or anything you'd like to add to those answers that I provided? Tim, I see you busily answer some other questions here, so I know we got to move on soon though.
I think that was great, Chad. Thanks, Chaz. Thanks for the questions answered. We'll continue to answer these questions as we go along as the next section gets going.
Thank you.